Hello, I'm Gary Quinn, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Live. My guest today is Daniel Mark Dreifuss. He is one of the most prolific and talented upcoming producers of our time. His current film, All Quiet on the Western Front, directed by Edward Berger, is nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best International Feature. His other films include Pablo Larraín's No, also nominated for an Academy Award in 2013, starring Gael Garcia Bernal, and Sergio, starring Wagner Moura and Ana de Armas. Don't go away. I'll be right back with Daniel Dreifuss. Welcome to the show, Daniel. So great to have you in studio today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, congratulations on 9 Academy Award nominations. What does that make you feel like?
It is humbling, isn't it? After so many years of hard work and ups and downs and dedication and testing your passion, it is very beautiful to receive this recognition from your peers and from audiences and an acknowledgement of your craft, and it's very rewarding. It's truly exciting.
You know, you grew up in Brazil, and when you were a little boy, did you have hopes of working in the entertainment, or what was the catalyst that got you started into the film business?
You know, when I was growing up in Brazil, even before I moved to Rio, I remember the Academy Awards were on really late at night because of the time difference. And I remember my mother would let me, when I was like 8, stay up until 1, 2 in the morning watching, and I would write the winners on a piece of paper and leave by her bedside so she would know who won when she woke up. So I remember being obsessed with the Academy Awards, but it felt like a different planet. It felt like a galaxy that I did not have permission or a ticket to access. So now to be on the other side of that screen where that kid was looking onto, it doesn't feel entirely real just yet. I have been to the ceremony once before in 2013 with another nomination for No, but to have broken out of that category onto 8 other categories, including Best Picture, is beyond it's a bigger dream than I could have dreamed for myself.
But isn't that amazing? And I love that when I have interviewed people that there's a dream within a child at a small age, and how amazing that the universe is manifested it for you. And it may take 6 months, 6 years, 10 years, whatever, but it's really holding on to that dream. I love that when that happens.
It's believing in yourself and believing in the dream, because it's not easy. This business is not easy. I say this often, and I've said this a lot this week. For each day of a red carpet, a tuxedo, shiny shoes, it's years of hard work, dedication, difficult professional relationships, ups and downs, insecurity. It is a dream that you need to fight for. It's, for most people, at least for most people I know, it doesn't fall on their laps. And I think that everyone who has achieved some recognition in the industry worked really hard for that dream. But at the same time, you have to believe in the dream and stick with it, because it won't happen overnight. At least it hasn't been my experience. But I'm glad I stuck by that dream and honored what that child was, hoping would happen all those years ago. I didn't know how, I didn't know through which avenue, but I got myself to Los Angeles with 2 bags from Brazil, and now we're here. So it is very exciting.
It's exciting. I love it. And it's really about really celebrating yourself as an individual. Because when I met you a couple years ago, you had this instant spark. And I think you have to have that joy when you walk in a room, no matter what you do. And I believe that is what really is inspiring for people to see this sort of step by step, how you've stepped in to that energy. And I know that as a producer, you've been able to really foster careers with actors. And I know you had a big opportunity to cast an actress, Ana de Armas. And what was that like? You saw her, you knew her, or you just said, this is the woman for my movie?
When we were casting Sergio, which I produced for Netflix in 2018, we were looking for the actress that would be the co-lead with the title character, and we needed somebody who could anchor the movie with Wagner Mora, and we were trying for somebody who had some visibility but could really dramatically carry that picture. And because I am very attuned to world cinema, I'm a lover of world cinema, I watch movies from every country, it is innate and easy for me to connect characters that I read on the page with, I saw this film in that country, from that festival, from that director, and join the sensibility of what I felt with the characters on the page. And so I put her name forth. At the time, obviously now she's a major movie star and nominated this year as well for Best Actress. Congratulations to Anna, really. But at the time, which was just the other day, she was not known in the United States just yet. But I knew her work from Spain, from Spanish films, and from spending time in Madrid. And so I put her name forth, and I remember saying it has to be her, and having to justify why it would be, because people were like, we're not familiar with her body of work just yet. But you have to have that instinct coupled with the effort of watching movies and dedicating yourself to seeking these narratives, even if the names are not famous yet. So you have an arsenal, a Rolodex of ideas, creative ideas, to couple and marry with the stories.
Who inspires Daniel creatively or spiritually?
Creatively, a plethora of people.
Top three.
Oh, this is difficult. Steven Spielberg, Kate Blanchett, Ang Lee, a lot of people. I grew up, this is an interesting thing, I grew up in Brazil, and my mother, I have to credit my mom, who started taking me to see movies, real movies, like the movies that won, like The Last Emperor and Pele the Conqueror, Life as a Dog, Cinema Paradiso, all those movies of the late 80s. They were Oscar-winning movies, or Babette's Feast, or the international, what at the time we called foreign films, foreign language movies. But they all came to Brazil, because everything in Brazil was foreign language if it wasn't Portuguese. And she took me to see all those films in the theaters before I was even 10. So I remember asking her recently, because I realized how unusual that was. At the time I thought everybody did that. And now I realize that instilled in me the passion for narratives of people who sound different, believe different, look different, have different historical processes, and opened my eyes to the world of cinema, instigated in me this curiosity. And I have to credit her for believing in a child, because she said, I just thought you seemed interested and curious, and I thought you were getting something out of it. And so believing in a curious, bright-eyed child has led me to this place right now.
And I think it's so important for people to acknowledge their mothers or fathers who have inspired us all. And, you know, when you see someone win some award, they always basically thank their mom or father, which is so important that mothers, I think all over the world, it's such a hard job to be a superwoman. They're basically Wonder Woman. You know, is she coming for the awards?
I don't know yet.
Okay, I hope she can.
She was here when No was nominated
Uh-huh.
10 years ago. She happened to be here, and I remember it was 5 in the morning, it was dark outside, and it was 38 degrees in LA, and we were each on a couch covered by a blanket.
Uh-huh.
And I had never watched the nominations. I didn't know. I thought it was going to be like drum roll, big trumpets, and the nominees are dramatic pause. It's not. It's like, the nominees are A, B, C, D, E, E. And it was so fast. And then she was celebrating, and my instant response was, that's it? And it was so almost anticlimactic, the delivery. But it was so exciting because, again, I'm a kid from Brazil. I was that kid from Brazil who moved here with 2 bags. No contacts in the industry, no nepotism, no connections. And to feel like I have arrived in that dreamland. Now, the dream is not to win awards. The dream is to execute my passion and to tell my stories. If they find a place in the world, if they resonate with people, then the recognition will come from that. I firmly believe that when you start with the end product and you say, I want that award, and you go for the award and you miss the process, you don't get the awards. All these movies that started with an awards movie to get an award usually don't make it. I think you miss the sincerity and the true reasons as to why we should be telling these stories.
The human evolution of the story and the individual is what is in anything, really. And I had that conversation with Sir Kenneth Branagh when I saw Belfast, and I told him, your movie was all about love. And he goes, oh my God. And I said, yes, but love is all there is. What does love mean for you?
Self-acceptance, pride in who you are, in what you represent, pride in your passions, believing in your passions, pursuing your passions, giving yourself license to pursue your passions, whatever they may be, because that will be for each person, and giving yourself freedom and license to be happy, even if things are not always easy, and at peace with yourself. I think that is easier said than done, especially in the city of Los Angeles, a city that constantly reminds you of what you don't have. And it's a trying city. Everything is so pretty. People are pretty, the houses are pretty, the weather is beautiful. But emotionally, you need to have a foundation. Because the foundation is not going to come from the outside in. It's not going to come from the 9 nominations. That is, of course, inspiring and keeps one persevering. But you have to have something within you, because the moment people in the city start defining themselves by their jobs or by their accolades, I think that it's a pitfall for me personally. You know, there has to be a Daniel beyond the producer. It can't be that that is the only thing that I have to talk about, and it certainly can't be the only thing that people see in me, or the only interesting thing about me. I hope it's not. I hope there's more to me than my job, my accolades, and my titles. They are part of me that I'm proud of, but they're certainly not all of me. And I think that some people start mixing what they do professionally with who they are. And I think that's tricky, because then when your career is up, your self-value is up. But when your career is not up and in between things, then who are you? What's your self-worth?
Exactly. And I think what you just said is spot on, because people are always looking outside themselves to make themselves happy. If I have an Academy Award, I'll be happy. If I have a hit New York Times bestseller, I'll be happy. If I have a $1 million job, I'll be happy. But really, in the end of the day, it's really finding that energy and giving yourself permission to be happy for no reason. And that's the thing I love about my Italian friends. Every time I see them, you know, my friend Doriana will make a pasta. She's always happy. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. And I think that's what's missing, not necessarily just in this city, but around the world. You know, is there any fear that you have overcome, or that you have, let's say, is there fear that you have or you had that you say I'm working on getting rid of it, or I no longer let it affect me? Because really you've persevered and just kept going no matter what. And that's a confidence factor that many people don't have.
Listen, of course I have fears, and I think that the moment somebody doesn't have any fears, they might as well be dead, because we're in a big world that, you can't predict tomorrow. You can try to control everything, and you can't control things at all, really. There have been lots of moments to overcome. Right before I moved here, a month before I moved here, my father passed away. It's actually 20 years this year. I was quite young, so was he. That was a very difficult time, and part of the reason I moved here with those two bags. But at the time specifically, moving here, a new country, a new world, knowing nobody, removing myself from what was familiar, having just had my father pass away, the world felt like a really big, scary place. And I think in moving here, I was pursuing new possibilities, but I was also distancing myself from any sense of familiarity or comfort, and it was a very lonely place to begin with. And then, just for example, the process of All Quiet, you spend many years in this business trying to tell people, I see something here, this is great, there is value, there's an audience, there's a creative reason for telling these stories. And the industry and the world are telling you, no, no, no. So at some point, you start to question yourself, am I the only person who sees this? And if all these super professional, bright people are telling me no, am I therefore wrong? Because I'm the only person who's saying yes. And you, of course, question yourself, and you're afraid that you're pursuing the wrong thing. But that's when I think you have to find your gut instinct and believe that it's worth your while to persevere if you can, because reality, life gets in the way. Because at some point, this is not about proving to the world that I was right. It's simply finding that there is something that I can offer, my taste, my insight, my vision. When I saw that that was something, that there was an audience that showed up for this movie, of course, because of the brilliant way in which it was executed, which you can't always predict, but there was a reason for it, and I had something to contribute, that there's a taste level, there's a kind of stories that I'm inspired by that do find a place in the marketplace, and find a place with audiences, hopefully. Maybe not Avengers audience or, Avatar audience that just passed $2 billion, and those movies are necessary too, because they get people in theaters and they get people used to seeing these narratives on the big screen. But hopefully they also instill in people the desire to see other narratives. So of course you have fears, of course you have uncertainties, and you just try and push through them because you are worthy at the end.
On the current film, Daniel, that's nominated, All Quiet on the Western Front, what is the overall meaning of that film?
The war is not the answer. It's an anti-war movie. It's a pacifist, anti-Balak story.
Is it a true story?
It is a true story in the sense that it's set against the backdrop of World War One. The individuals in the story are composites, fictionalized, but any of them could have existed, probably existed, did exist. So much so that it's true for me, because an inspiration for me for the story was my grandfather, Max Dreifuss, born in Germany in 1899, joined the war when he was 18. And also joined the war his cousin David was his first cousin. And my grandfather was injured in the war and operated on his lungs on the trenches, survived, was sent home. And his first cousin is one of the people who died at the very end of the war, just like the events that are depicted in this movie. So I had that history in my family, and so when I got the script 8 or whatever, 10 years ago, the first time, I said, I know these people, and I want to honor these people. And there's a place for the story, and there's a place for the story because it still speaks to the world today. It relates to the world today. It relates to youth being disappointed by those who are supposed to protect them, be it from guns, be it from famine, be it from violence, and oftentimes they're not protected by those who are themselves protected by big hallways and palaces and Congress houses because of interest and capital and money and greed and power. And that has been the story now. I'd never imagined that when the project came out, we would be seeing yet another war in Europe. So sadly, it became even more timely than when I started working on the project.
If you were granted one wish for humanity or for our planet, what would that be?
Empathy. I think that if you can see the other, understand the other, respect the other, then you would automatically erase most of the wars and the conflicts. You would understand that if the other is hungry, that is also part of your existence and a duty and a moral responsibility to help. And I think a lot would come from empathy. And I think that is seriously lacking in the world we're living in today.
I want to thank you, Daniel. You're an amazing light, and I wish you great success for everything you do. And we're excited about the Academy Award nominations, and I am so lucky to have you as a colleague, as a friend, and to help you on this journey.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Gary. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. And hopefully another kid can be watching now and say, maybe I can be on the inside of that screen, or succeeding in whatever passion they have.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me on this special edition of Ready, Set, Live. Until next time, be well.